You're probably aware that your Sol Ark inverter is measuring a wide variety of data across the line, battery, and solar inputs. But did you know there's an easy way to export that data for offline easy analysis? Stick around and I'll show you how easy this is. So in order to look at our data, we need to be in the Operational Data tab, which is here, and you have to go find your inverter number, which is located under My Plants. Type it in here, and then you can hit search, and it will bring all of the data for this date, and it shows you all of the fields, etc., across multiple pages. What we really want to do is we want to be able to manipulate this in Excel. So we want to hit the download button, which will open an Excel file. So I've downloaded the spreadsheet for today's operations, and this is what it looks like. You can see that it's got timestamps of every 5 minutes along the left-hand side, and then each row of data contains a snapshot of the data at that particular point down to the second. So for example, Sol Ark has warned me that trying to figure out what the instantaneous buy or sell or voltage or current is just at that particular second the data was snapped. It's not actually an average of the preceding 5 minutes. So you got to be a little careful of how much interpretation you put on some of these data points. Across the top you see the titles listed for what's in the columns. I believe that the numbers like 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75 are the registers inside, or the register addresses or the CAN addresses that the software uses for pulling the data. It's not actually a battery charged today in kilowatt hours divided by 70. That's the register number. So I recently added a fourth battery to my stack after several years of only having 3, and the installation could have gone a little smoother. We had quite a few bits of problems, and one of the things I've been wondering is whether or not I potentially got a bad battery. And so one of the things that I want to do with this data is I want to compare how much energy I'm providing out of my battery by what the state of charge is or discharge is during that time frame, and then compare the two and make sure that the amount of energy going into the system is equivalent or close to equivalent to what the battery energy being discharged is. Ideally, the calculation I'd like to do is to calculate how much the battery totally discharged during a certain window of time, and then how much load power I provided over that time. Unfortunately, I have the total discharge over a day, so you can see that starting at 3 o'clock, which is when my time of use kicks in, I start pulling from the battery, both pulling, and then as I start getting solar here in the morning, it starts charging the battery. And that's a total per day, so I don't have to worry about that being a 5-second snapshot or a 5-minute snapshot. It's the total so far, so that's a running sum. My problem is that I don't have the load power as a running sum for the day. The only time I can get load power is one of those instantaneous snapshots. So you see, for example, inverter total power or load power for phase 1 and phase 2. Those are snapshots, and they vary, you see, every 5 minutes, and they're not accurate enough for me to do a running sum with. So anyway, using the battery state of charge here, and even though this is marked battery energy in amp hours, because I'm measuring my battery and state of charge internal to the Sol Ark, it reports it as state of charge rather than amp hours. You'll see that in this setting over here, I also have real-time capacity, and that also is state of charge. So I have state of charge. I know that at 3 o'clock, state of charge was at 98%, and then at 10 a.m. when I stopped the test, it was at 64%. So I've gone and done a quick calculation here. I've got 5.4 kilowatt batteries. My state of charge was 98% and 64% at the end, meaning a difference of 34%. So in theory, I should have calculated, or I should have provided about 7.4 kilowatts of power, and the state of charge says about 7.4 kilowatts of power, and the battery calculation said 7.2. Given the fact that I only have 1 decimal of precision on when the state of charge is and whatever the kilowatts is, this seems to be close enough. I will say that I've watched this over time, and whether I run 1 hour, 2 hours, or 6 hours, I'm off by a couple of tenths, but it doesn't seem to be growing as the time gets longer. So I am watching it as long as it always seems to be about 2 tenths. I'm somewhat okay with that. Well, that's it. Once you have the data in Excel, you can certainly start running your own analysis. I will observe that I've tried to get a detailed definition for the register map from Sol Ark and wasn't able to get a published list. But if you are trying to do something specific, they do seem to be pretty willing to help you figure out what columns you need to be looking at. As an aside, if you happen to have created a Raspberry Pi or other small computer that is connected to the Sol Ark CAN bus and is providing your own monitoring service, would you mind dropping me a note in the comments? I'd love to hear about it and discuss it with you. There are a couple of projects I'd like to do regarding monitoring and control of my Sol Ark, but I'm hesitant to try and reverse engineer the register and control map on my home operational unit. I hope you found this video useful, and if you liked it, please go ahead and hit that like button, and if you want to see more of these types of videos, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much, and I wish you happy programming.